I think Maddox has cancer. She's losing weight.
All right, I think we're all here. Samuel, you're freaking me out because I was looking for you and there you are hanging out with Tyler. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. So I can't see Taylor and I can't see Kenna, but I'm assuming that their heads will bop in when it's time. Hi. All right. Let's get started with some prayer. Father God, thank you so much for bringing us together, for extending the safety over the weekend and helping us to just have something to look forward to. Lord, I ask that you would be present with us during this class, that you would help us to have conversations which honor you, and that we would have some fun too. In your name we pray, amen. All right, my friends. So this morning, we are talking about discretionary spending and hobbies. So let's get started by talking a little bit about these 3 articles. They were all kind of similar in theme. So I'd like to approach all of them together and ask you what your takeaways are. Mia, would you like to participate?
I would love to participate since I read the articles.
Yes, I heard you did read the articles.
They were all about people paying off a debt or taxes or something like that in coins, pennies mostly, change. And I think that with at least 2 of them, it was mostly spiteful. Like they did not like whoever they were paying it to. So they wanted to make their life as hard as they possibly could while still being legal.
Miss Lydia?
So I read all 3 of them, and there was one where it was about a student paying off like loan for college, I think, and then another one someone paying off the last bit of his mortgage. But the guy who paid off the last bit of his mortgage, he didn't like the car people, whatever they are. So he decided to pay a lot of money to have people unroll pennies, so it would make the people at the place have to work really hard to count it. But in reality, it maybe wasn't them that were causing the problem. And anyways, it cost him a lot of money just to make more work for others. So it didn't seem very practical, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Miss Kenna?
I was going to say about the same thing that Lydia said, and I just thought that story was really funny, how he was just like strolled in with 5 wheelbarrows full of pennies and was like, there you go. I paid it off and good luck. And legally they had to take it because even though it cost him like $2,000 or something like that to pay it, like all of it.
Mm-hmm. He was willing.
Our society is cruel.
Our society is cruel. Is that what you said? Why do you suppose that these were the 3 articles I chose for us to read this week? Miss Lydia?
They all talked about the value of just a single penny, how a lot of little things can make a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Any other ideas? Miss Taylor?
It's like how an ant colony or a beehive can't work with just a single bee. You have to have the entire hive, and that's what makes a big swarm.
Uh-huh. So a little thing adds up. Oh, that was a cat. Okay, hi. I was like, what just happened? How many of you all have picked up pennies on the ground as you see them? All right, most of you. So I have a challenge for you. Until we have 3 more weeks, and I would like to challenge you all to pick up every piece of coinage you find on the ground between now and the last day of class. And then let's see how much money we have collected by that. You can also ask people to donate their pennies to you, like from your family members or your friends, but see what people will give you with their leftovers that they throw away or they discard. And let's
Just
see how
drop 'em on
much
the-
money as a class we can get with just little bitty coins by the end of our class. Does that sound okay?
Shall we
Shall we
place the
please
bets
research
now?
Miss Lydia?
I've actually bought a bunch of pennies at the bank and just gotten like $5 worth of something. And I found wheat head pennies from like 1944, 1945. So it's really cool. You can find even like that only cost 1 cent, but you could actually probably sell it for more even.
Right. Well, and I know that I'm not asking you to spend money and keep the change, although you could. I'm asking you to find the stuff that people think is so worthless that they would like to throw it away. Because I find that really bizarre. People will just throw pennies away, like literally throw them away. And it's fascinating to me. For many years, I've been married 17 years, I think. And so for at least 15 of those years, we have saved whenever we pay cash and get coins, we keep the coins and we throw them in a Ziploc baggie, and that's how we pay for our dates for the next year. So is that Mia? Miss Mia?
I remember one time when I was babysitting, they paid me in just nickels, and it was a bag of nickels. And I went through it with you and Natty, and we were looking for the nickels that didn't have, oh, I can't remember what it's called, but the
The
rigid
actual metal
lines.
one.
Yes. And because those nickels are typically from, I can't remember what it's called, but they're older and they're worth more than just the normal 5 cents. And so, like what Lydia was saying, you can find coins that just because of their age or some special part of them are worth more, or like when you
Right.
collect quarters or something like that.
Right. Because we used to have, our money used to have to equal the value. The coin had to equal the value historically. Now, our coins are actually worth less than they are valued because of the materials that we use to make them. So, Mr. Ryan.
I heard that pennies were going extinct. So if you can pick them up, they will probably be worth more in
Potentially.
the future.
There's talking about getting rid of a lot of the lower denominations. And what is that a result of?
Worth more than, or yeah, it will be worth more than it was.
Right. Miss Lydia?
Is that a result of like inflation because things are going up?
Absolutely. So it could be, if you think about, I just saw a thing in 1954, someone was buying a house for $5,000, I think, and their payment was $35 a month. Now, I know for a fact that any rent or mortgage payment is way more than that now. That's inflation. So your money does not go as far as it used to. So because we now are dealing with larger amounts, then there's discussion about getting rid of the smaller amounts because they are less useful. Have you ever traveled out of the country or seen other countries' dollars or currency that makes a difference like this, Tyler? You're not on yet.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so Canadian currency, like our paper money, their like paper money is all plastic and everything. That was pretty interesting to see that. Yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. Elijah?
I was just wondering about the change. I probably handle several $100s worth of change every week as part of my hobby. So, how do you want that counted?
Well, is it change that is going for a purpose, or is it the discarded change?
It's rolls of coins from the bank.
Okay, so what I'm trying to aim at is the discarded things, like the stuff that you find in the parking lot at Target, or things like that, that what other people would be considering worthless. I would like us to try to see if if it is worthless, or if it does add up to something meaningful. Does that help? Okay.
A lot of countries only have like 20s and up, and they don't have change and stuff.
Right. Right. Or you'll see that they have tons of zeros across them. So I want to say it's Spain. What's the lira? I think that's Spain, but it may be Italy. But it's like 20,000 lira is equal to $20 US. So, Miss Wren?
I'd just like to say I remember buying my first horse. It was a little Mustang pony, and I remember I had this giant bin, and it was all change. I had some cash, but it was mostly change because that's what I would get paid in change for doing odd jobs around the house. And I remember my grandpa sitting here helping me count this giant bowl of change, and we were like, "You have enough, huh?" But I just remember it does add up. At least it did.
My mom bought her first piano with quarters. So, Miss Lydia?
I want to note that one reason is that there might be 20s is because they are not worth, there's a 20 in one country is not necessarily equal to another one, except that like in England now that they are equal or something. But it's just because of how they count it differently than people in other countries do. So that can be why it seems to be worth more or less, depending on how you see it.
And does anyone know what the vocabulary word is for comparing one currency to another? Okay, it's called the exchange rate. So, and that changes globally every single day. So right now, actually, the dollar is the strongest it has been in 20 years against other currencies in the world. The exchange rate is very high. One of the reasons the United States has had so many tourists coming from China and Japan is because for many, many years, the exchange rate of the Asian yen has been very strong against the US dollar. So what will happen as the exchange rate changes across the globe, it costs you less money. Like I could go right now with my US dollars to India, and the exchange rate of the dollar against the currency for India, which I cannot remember right now. It's like you can get a 5-course meal in India for $2 American. Whereas in the US, that might cost you $60. So that's purely a form of economics. And it's really fascinating. But it's just something to know and to be aware of that will come into play when you travel internationally. So, okay, is there anything else about these articles? Miss Lydia? I think you froze. There you go.
Can you see it now?
Yes. Oh, that's your wheat penny.
That one is from 1945, but I also have one from 1944.
That's cool. That's cool. One thing that I wanted to say about the article that you touched on, but I'm going to throw out here, the idea of doing something for spite. What do you think about that, Miss Lydia?
I think that was just sort of mean. The guy that was paying off his mortgage, that was a bit. I think whatever one was just because he had said that he would not. He was gonna. I think there was one of the articles was saying that he would pay off his mortgage or something, wasn't it? I can't remember. I think I read another one
paid
that I saw.
mortgages, one just filled a box with pennies, and one paid their driver's license off.
Yeah, so
Driver's
the
fine.
the one that was the mortgage, that was not exactly spite. That was just that it will save pennies, and that was a more of just a cool building up to it thing. The filling the pennies one was not spite at all. That was just, put loose change into it. That was cool. And then but the one that he was trying to get revenge on the car people, that I'm not sure it wasn't the people at the place they weren't necessarily the ones causing the problem. So he wasn't even really getting back the right people probably. So it was revenge isn't good, and anyways, he wasn't doing it at the right people.
Do you think it's okay that I asked you to read an article about someone who is doing something that I would not encourage you to copy as a role model? Why? Samuel?
Because no matter what you have us read, it's our choice what we do.
We can be influenced, but it's always your choice what you do. You're the only one who can take responsibility for your actions.
Miss Mia?
Sometimes seeing decisions that other people make can help you not make the same thing, or know that is something you don't want to do. And so if you can see, like, this person did that and it didn't end up well for them, then you can also recognize, well, that probably won't end up well for me, so I don't want to do that either. So you can learn from it without following it. Don't fall into patterns.
What was that over there?
Don't fall into other people's patterns.
Yep.
That's the cat lady.
The invisible cat lady that's hanging out over there with you. All right, well, I think that's right. And I also want to I brought that up specifically because there will be articles that we read that are not necessarily coming from a biblical perspective. And I just truly believe that the way that you identify those different perspectives is by seeing diversity. So it's okay to see things that you don't agree with. And sometimes they provide you with the greatest conversation points because you're able to compare and contrast that way. So I just wanted you to know that I did that on purpose, but I would not recommend that you all practice petty revenge schemes on your own. Okay. No petty revenge. All right, let's talk a little bit about discretionary spending and hobbies. Does everybody have a hobby right now? Yep, kind of. Mostly, can you put it in the chat log? Can you say what your hobby is?
Everyone?
Yeah. So like if you're sharing it, then put your name with it though. Because like I can see that Lydia says reading and crocheting. But if it's coming from Samuel and Tyler or Mia, Maggie, Kenna, and Taylor, they're all sharing. So you got to say what it is. All right, you choose stories. Those tend to be pretty economical, except in your heart and your emotions. They're very expensive in your emotions. Is it okay to have a hobby? Chase, you're green, so that means you're on. So is it okay to have a hobby? You've gone away. Oh, you were writing fishing, video games,
What?
hanging out.
Yeah, it's okay to have a hobby. What else are you gonna do?
Okay, so that's fair. So we have this really interesting divide in our country between work and hobby. And occasionally we're able to put our hobbies into our work. But for the most part, I would say the average stereotype is that you go to work and you do your job, and then your hobbies are what you do with your free time. So that's the frame of reference we're going to pull here. All right, let's see somebody's action. You didn't write a paper, did you? You just needed to talk about what you had learned as you compared. So I'm going to choose 3 of you to tell me what you have learned as you compared your hobbies versus whether it was a good use of money. Rin, tell me about what you've learned thinking about how much money you spend on your hobby.
Okay. Well, I have smaller hobbies like I put in the chat box, but my main hobby is horses and they're expensive. So, but I do think the more I do and learn and grow with horses, the more I see it play out in the rest of my life. And so I think in the end it evens out and it's money well spent. Like drill, it's like 500, 600 bucks a year. Between everything, not including gas and driving and all that. And we go and it's something to do. And it's a lot of fun and it's a really cool experience to go. I was talking to somebody the other day and he was like, "You in rodeos?" Like, I open all the rodeos in this entire area. And I'm the halftime show for the other half of the rodeos. And I'm in all these parades. And it was just funny. He was like, "That's really cool that you go and do that." Because he's like, "I wish more kids would go do stuff like that." It's a lot of fun. So in comparison to hobbies, and then like some of my other hobbies like sewing and stuff, I think it's worth it because then you know how to do it. Like I can make skirts and quilts and all this stuff. And so it's skill that you can use later in life. Or cooking. I really like cooking and baking. And I can continue to use that for as long as I need to use it, which my family really, really likes. Jenna's like, "And can you make more cake? You can make cake, right?" So I think there are skills that they're technically hobbies, but they really become a skill the better you get at them. And so I think it's really cool that they have like that transfer over. I have a cousin who her hobby was cooking and she's now a chef. She's a baker. She graduates this next year and she's going into baking to run bakeries. So I think some of them transfer over and some of them, like if it's soccer or for me it's equestrian drill, they're just something that you do with your time that you enjoy and gets you out of the house and you get something to do, which is a really cool experience.
Okay. Miss Kenna, what do you think about your hobbies?
Mia's jealous that I was just drawn. One of my hobbies is training our animals, like Gracie, my dog, and all of our chickens and our goats, because my mom loves to have our chickens be able to come to us with just a certain noise. So we worked on that for a while with some treats. And same thing with our goats. They were super shy and didn't want any part of us at all. But then when we gave them Cheerios, they loved us. And they would run to the door and jump up on you. And yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, Mia, you must have wished it into existence. What did you learn about your hobby?
That's weird.
So I learned throughout this, I added up
my totals for how much I typically spend and learned that my hobby is really expensive and that I don't make a lot of money back from it. So one thing that I learned is I could definitely spend my money probably in a more profitable way, but that though this hobby might be really expensive in money, it has taught me a lot of life lessons that are very valuable that you can't buy and that will last me for my life. So even though the numbers are sad to look at, there are parts of it that are, look at Rim, quite worth it. She's dying.
All right. Well, I think it's important to always make sure that you're paying attention and being intentional and thoughtful about your hobbies. One of the things that I have tried to do is make my hobbies actually pay for themselves at least a little bit. It doesn't always work that way, but I try. So whatever you're passionate about, see if it can also be profitable and bring you a little income in, because you're probably turning into an expert about that passion just because you put the time and effort into it. So be creative. Coin collecting. This makes sense, Elijah. All right, let's move on to the action card statements. I'm looking it up for what your topics were. Are you guys ready, or did you have anything else to say about the hobbies? Miss Lydia?
So my hobbies are reading and crocheting. I would say my main ones that I actually pay for. I also do Taekwondo as a sport, but I don't know if that would be counted as a hobby or a sport. But for reading and crocheting, I couldn't really figure out an exact cost because it really just depends on what books I buy and what yarn I get. But for reading, I usually just get them from a site called Thrift Books, so they're a lot cheaper. I can get most books for around $5, so that's to me a really good price for them, and you can get free shipping if you pay enough money. But so that I really enjoy reading, so I think that is one's worth it. And then crocheting I really also think is worth it because I can make stuff. I've made a couple of hats for myself, and I made a bunch of Christmas presents that are hats or a scarf or a headband for other people. I made tons of stuff by crocheting. And then I've also actually made a couple of things that I've sold to people. So I think that it is quite profitable in that way, and I can make money off it. And I've also made patterns, and you can make money by selling patterns too. So that can be a very profitable one. And I also really like it because it's very relaxing.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, let's move on to our action card assignments. Chase, Mr. Chase, you are number 1. Your topic was the Babysitters Club.
All right. So, babysitting class or whatever, there's benefits, which would be safety skills, you know how to take care of kids, communication, relationship building, multitasking, cooking, I guess, time management, organization skills, negotiation, money management, and on average, babysitters make $17.70 to $20.30 an hour, which is a pretty good side job. So
All right.
it's probably worth it. And you don't even need to go to class like overdoing it.
All right. Thank you. Miss Lydia, filling your freezer.
So I also have my action card assignment from last time that I didn't get to do. Do you want me to do both of them?
Just do one, just because of time.
Okay. So my other one was the one where you get tired, but for the fill your freezer, I'm not sure if all of this information is completely correct, because I know that websites cannot be completely correct all the time, and I haven't ever hunted, so I have no idea if this is somewhat correct. But So a hunting tag allows you to hunt a particular animal. You have to have it in addition to having a hunting license. You have a hunting license, and then that allows you to hunt a particular animal in certain seasons. I saw that the white-tailed deer hunting tag is the most popular tag in South Carolina. From what I saw at a certain website, it costs $0 to $5, but that was a little confusing for me. But you also have to have a hunting license and a big game permit. Other costs associated with hunting are, especially for starting from scratch, you definitely need a weapon and so like a rifle, gun, or bow and arrow, something like that. And then I also saw that it would be good to have scope, and then some other optional but helpful ones could be camo hunting clothes, or something to help you blend in, tree stands or blinds, gear like flashlights, knives, that type of thing, and then a first aid kit. And then for each hunt, you'll also need your ammo, and then you may also need tags. That was a little confusing for me. Then the amount of meat on average for a field dress, for northern white-tailed deer, at least, this was also a really confusing part for me. But the doe, for instance, can be 105 to 125 pounds. That's the average. But they can be less or more, just depending. For instance, the fawns can be 55 to 75 pounds. And then there's yearling bucks can be 105 to 120 pounds. The amount of meat that you'll actually get is about 40% of their original weight, I believe. And hunting can be cost effective, but it depends on the season, the equipment that you have, and if you also get an out-of-state hunting license.
All right. Thank you. Elijah, you're up. Ancient artifacts.
Okay. So I was supposed to research somebody who I can't seem to pronounce their name, but a person who found a sword that was actually from before the Vikings in Sweden. So what I found out was about the sword. It was found in a lake, which also has an unpronounceable name in Sweden, and I forgot to write this part down, but it was made out of wood and metal, which I found it surprising the wood survived, but also was found in its sheath, which I also found interesting. And according to their best guess, it's about 1,500 years old. And the other thing I was supposed to research was what happens when you find artifacts like that, if they are a good way to make money. In this instance, it was not a very good way to make money. It was just a really neat find. I have heard of other people that actually are treasure hunters for a living. So you could make money that way, but in this instance, they didn't.
Awesome. Thank you. It would be interesting probably to research how that wood survived. If you look at at ancient sword making, the wood was not just wood that you pulled off of a tree. They did do a process to it that's just really interesting. But I'm trying to I always try to keep my comments to the minimum because I want to not run out of time. And you don't need to hear about me. It's up to you guys sharing all of the cool stuff. So I'm not saying anything else, but that's a cool topic you should research. So Miss Kenna, you're next. Tell us about finding gems.
Okay. So at the beginning of this, I didn't know what a rock hound was, like what the actual, like what, and it turns out it's just like another name for gem finder. It's not anything different. So rock hounds make around 10,000 a month by selling their treasures and selling his or her treasures to museums and to other buyers. This means that gem finders, rock hounds, whatever you want to call them, make about 120,000 a year, which is pretty good. The proper name for a gem finder is a
Demolition.
no, a what is that, Mia?
Gemologist.
Jewelers and goldsmiths can also be another name for gem finders. So there are multiple different names for this. You can call them whatever you want. It is quite easy to become a gem finder. It requires no formal college degree, but you will need to take some trade classes to receive your certification. The International Gem Society offers an online professional gem finder certification course. You can also get your certification here, which I have some links that you can go to. My sources were I don't know why I have such a hard time pronouncing that word. Gemology career options and gemology definitions.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And if you're in Arkansas, you can go and mine your own diamond. Miss Mia, tell us about breeding puppies.
Okay. The question of ethicality can come down to a few things, mostly how animals are raised, taken care of, and sold. When someone says that breeding dogs is unethical, they are usually referring to breeding through puppy mills. Animals raised in puppy mills are commonly sick, malnourished, unsocial, and not given the proper amount of care. And I think we can probably all agree that that sounds pretty inhumane and unethical, but not all dog breeders are that way. There are plenty of knowledgeable puppy breeders who take pride in the care of their animals. So while some breeding may be unethical, that is not just a definition that could go across the board for all breeding. As to whether dog breeding can be profitable depends on a few things, typically the breed and the background use of the animal. While you can easily buy a small Chihuahua puppy for barely $100 from a reputable breeder, on the other side of the spectrum, this Samoyed, I think I sell it, can cost an upwards of $14,000 for one puppy. So there's a broad range of prices that dogs can come from, and that depends on if they're purebred or mixed or all of that. You also have to consider the costs all the way around. A big dog will eat more. A little dog may require more vet visits, as health issues can be a bigger problem, although that also depends on the specific breed itself. Like I know our Mastiff. Mastiffs are known for having hip problems. So there are certain breeds that are more susceptible to certain illnesses or health issues. And also, if you're buying a prize-winning show dog or the offspring of that dog, no matter the breed, it's going to cost a lot more than the average price would be. And that it's just going to go up and up. And if you're getting a dog for a specific purpose, like livestock guardian dog, then that's going to have its own costs and expenses, because not every dog can do that, or a herding dog or something like that. So I just say do your research and know where the dog is coming from, who you're supporting when you buy it, and its background, and what is going to be good for your individual needs and wants.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Samuel, tell us about being a road warrior.
Okay. So first of all, work. If I asked everybody here whether they had a complete full-time job, probably not all of them or a large amount of them would be able to say yes, I work every single day. However, let's just say for everyone that you do all have a job like that. So you guys are gonna have to get there somewhere or somehow, excuse me, whether you are driving there or not. So in the top 100 largest cities, the average drive time is 52 minutes round trip to get to work, equaling to an average opportunity cost of $5,000 or $5,679 annually, meaning that if they had spent all that time working, they could have earned that much extra money. So then you come to the problem of, well, okay, now you also have to deal with the wear and tear on your vehicle and the depreciation versus do I just want to live right near it? Well, let's say that you have a lower paying job. You probably want to live a bit closer if at all possible. That way you can work that extra time, get that extra $5,500. However, if it's a pretty well-paying job, maybe you don't need to be as close because you don't need to work as much time or something like that. And then, yeah, so it basically just comes down to what vehicle you have, how much you're going to be paying, how much you're gaining, and what you need for your family, what you want, what your goals are.
Okay, thank you. Miss Rin, talk about driver's license point systems.
I would just like to tell you all that I knew it was a bad idea for me to drive large vehicles. I told you. So, most of my research is in Colorado. And the big points are how much you hit a certain number of points against your license and you get it taken away. And the point system is divided by age, depending on how old you are. But each doing a different thing has a certain number of points attached to it that you get removed. So, like speeding 40 miles per hour over the limit, you get 12 points against your license versus failure to dim or turn on lights, it's 2 points. So they have, like if you have no insurance, it's 4 points, or you drive on the wrong side of the road, 4 points. Speed contest, so if you're racing, you race at stoplight, you lose 12 points. And driving while doing drugs or alcohol, if it's testable, 12 points, etc. Eluding police officers, 12 points. 20 miles per hour over the speed limit is 6 points off. There's a whole list, but those are just a few examples. So if you're a minor driver who's 17 and under, 6 or more points within a 12-month period will get your license suspended. 7 or more points 7 or more at any point while under 18 will also get you your license suspended. So it doesn't even have to be in the 12-month period. It's just at any time. A minor driver, 18 to 21, 9 or more within a 12-month period, 12 or more within 24 months, or 14 between the age of 18 and 21. So 21 and over, it's 12 or more within 12 months, and 18 within the span of 2 years. Chauffeurs, this is what was really interesting. People who have specialty license, you have to get a higher number of points against you before they will actually remove your license, which I thought was really interesting. So you think it'd be less, like there'd be a lower tolerancy for it, but there's actually a higher tolerancy for it. That's what, like if you're a chauffeur, you have to get 16 points against you within a 12-month period. So that's 4 more points. There's a leniency, and you have to get 24 points against you within 2 years to have your license suspended, which I thought that was really interesting. And then the other thing I found interesting is that the courts don't actually suspend your license. they just do a hearing to overview the information, and they give it to the DMV, who will then decide if it's within the rights to remove your license. Which I did not know that was how that worked. I was surprised. I didn't have the time to do it, but I think it would be really interesting to see the insurance effect, especially on young drivers, because in most states, not so much in Colorado, but in a lot of states, I discovered that between 18 and 21, there's like the least amount of points. Like the points number goes up that you have to have, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I wonder what the insurance backlash on it is, depending on how many points you have against your license. Because I know we had somebody who it's like through a friend of a friend, a story where he got the insurance dropped him because has like a permit or something, and he rolled a stop, and so they dropped him because he got caught. And so I think the insurance backlash would be interesting to research, but I did not have time to do that. So
The insurance is typically worse than the actual DMV issue. So,
yes.
All right, I'm going to move on without questions, Lydia, just because I want to get through all of our stuff and we only have 13 minutes of class left. So, Miss Taylor, tornado chaser.
That's not us. Right. Hi. Okay. Storm and disaster shelters. There are many different kinds of disasters that happen more frequently than most would like to think. But with every problem, humans have the creative minds to find a solution. Storms such as hurricanes and tornadoes threaten most locations. However, storm shelters can combat the destruction and prevent casualties if done right. Prices for a shelter can range from $3,000 to $50,000 or higher. But that's a rough estimate. There are different kinds of companies specializing in the manufacturing and installation of shelters, and the prices range depending on if you want them to install the shelter or if you want to do it yourself. There's also above or below ground shelters. Below ground shelters, most likely you're going to need a concrete pad and an excavation machine. So you have to consider the cost of workers and stuff. So basically what you're gonna do is you gotta dig yourself a hole, a nice deep hole, and then you lay the concrete down, and then you put the pipes and stuff and make sure your shelter is nice and like secure. And then you put dirt over it with your metal roof to make sure nothing can blow it away. Yeah, I like to think that the below ground shelters are more trustworthy because they're not above ground where it's gonna get torn up. Logic. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tyler, visiting the dog park.
I got it. Okay. I researched what you need to get a pet license and how much it costs. And I found out that it doesn't take a lot to get a pet license. Like all you have to do to get a pet license is go and get all of like your dog completely vaccinated, up to date with all the shots and everything, and then you can get it vaccinated for $10 for 1 year or $30 for 3 years, $27 for 3 years. And then the only there were a few other benefits to do it, like first you have to get a license, because if it's not licensed, then I think you get fined up to $50 for your first offense. And then some of the other benefits were you will get more dog sitters. You'll get if you have to buy say medicine for your pet, you won't be able to get it unless it's licensed, and other stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Mr. Ryan, what happens when you report a crime?
Good stuff. Okay, so I found that some criminals could have a bounty on their head. Well, never mind. And so if you do collect the bounty, you collect the money that they're paying for it, And I also found that solving a crime can or no- it just brings closure to people in the city and the family. So hang on. Then if what was I gonna say? Sorry. Actually, I think that's all I had. Sorry.
Okay. All right, thank you. Miss Maggie, you're the tail end. Tell us about how you make friends in a new neighborhood.
Okay. So the first way you can make friends is ask for introductions. Like you can ask your old friends if they know anybody in that area that you just moved for, and they can get you like together. They can, yeah. You can throw a housewarming party, which
Invite the whole
is,
neighborhood.
which in my opinion would be way too much work, especially right after you moved. Accept invites. So if somebody comes over to your house and asks you if you want to have dinner, say yes instead of just being like no, because that you can make friends that way. Join a local group, like on sometimes like your phone, or there's social media that you can get with that, like where you just moved. Yeah, that's basically most of what I got, but just like be open to guests and like open to meeting people, I guess.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm putting all your names away. Are you ready for action card assignments for this week?
I won't be here on Thursday.
Okay, I'm
I'm
gonna
going.
What's that?
I'm going back to Missouri.
Oh, well, have safe travels. I just dropped action cards.
Me and Ryan
I
might
have a
not
question.
be here for Missouri or for Thursday as well either. We have work.
Okay,
Can we do the action cards by random?
by random.
Wait, what? We're not gonna be here, Tyler?
So I can do random. I can draw your names. Hold on, I will do that. So yes to Lydia. Oh, I've lost my train of thought. We're gonna draw action cards for everyone, even if you won't be here on Thursday, because it might have financial consequences for everybody else. Does that make sense? So, okay. So the first one will be Elijah and Farmers Market. Each player collects $10,000 from the bank. So look at that. Okay.
Riches for Ryan.
Farmers Market. What is the difference between buying local versus purchasing from a chain store? Is the only benefit to consider cost, or are there other benefits to buying local? Right. Mia. Win a race. Collect $10,000 from the bank.
She sponsored a race, then she had to get in fit, and then she won a race.
She's
I am back in shape now. I'd like to inform everyone.
Racing does get you in good shape.
research the local competitions in your area. Do they offer prize money? What types of supplies do you need to compete well in the competition? Ryan. Buy a boat. Pay $90,000 to the bank.
Can we just like kick Ryan and Taylor at this point?
Yeah, can we?
Might as well throw Maggie in there as well.
No, but I do think that we should have a conversation about this after week 16 about like what is going on here. Ryan, research the costs of boat ownership. How often are boats typically used? Chase.
Live in like every day.
It depends on where you live.
What if Ryan decided to sell the boat back to someone?
I think that is
I'll
taking
buy it.
too serious.
Who's gonna buy it? Starting the bid at 80,000.
All right, Chase,
Taking
plant
it.
60 almond trees. Collect $100,000 from the bank.
You said do what?
You've got to plant 60 almond trees and collect 100,000 from the bank.
Riches for Ryan.
No.
Just like that. Lunch.
That was
Jason.
savage.
Research the different types of tax categories land can be designated, such as agricultural classification, opportunity zone, etc. How do these benefit the owner? How do they benefit the community? And why do these classifications exist? Kenna. Add a driver. Pay $10,000 per a child to the bank. How many children do you have? 3?
She's really loving her children at this point. I'm gonna sell them all to the gypsies.
I like my children. They're doing great.
Research the average increase
Train
in
your
insurance
children.
premiums when a child receives their driver's license. What are some ways to save money on this cost of living? What are the consequences for driving uninsured? Maggie. Bake sale bounty. Roll the die, collect 10,000 times the number from the bank, and give it to the player with the lowest annual financial standing. So I think that's Ryan.
It's
No,
Taylor.
it's
Pretty sure
Taylor.
it's
Taylor.
Okay, it's Taylor. And it was a 1. So Taylor is gonna get $10,000 from the bank.
She's gonna help that.
It's not that much.
Taylor was so unlucky.
Maggie's done the bake sale. Research the history of your favorite candy bar company. How did they get their start? How much money do they make every year? What other products do they sell? Rin. Move. Pack with excellence. Pay or collect the housing cost difference to or from the bank. So we've got to give you a moving opportunity here. You have 5 choices.
Give her the friend's couch.
How many do you need to have, Rin? What's your occupancy? How many kids do you have?
Count all your children.
7.
7. Okay. The Eco House, occupancy 6. The Family House, occupancy 8. the beach hut occupancy 4, the cozy cottage occupancy 4, or your friend's couch occupancy 1. So it looks like you're going to the family house. So that costs 120,000. And you'll put that onto week 11. What is the different, what were you in, Ren?
It's a 20K difference. I was in the farmhouse, which is 100K.
Okay, so that's gonna cost you $20,000. And that will be,
Do I pay the $20,000 this week or next week?
you pay the $20,000 this week, and then
And
you
the housing
pay
fee
the
next week.
actual cost for next week's house.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And then you're packing with excellence. Research is the costs associated with moving, including renting a truck and or paying for movers.
Ah, movers? What are you talking about?
They are not Radoseviches.
That's what the children are for.
Taylor, win a math competition and collect $20,000 from the bank. Research the various competitions and prize monies available for solving an unsolvable math problem. Who typically wins the prizes by solving the problem? Tyler. Safety first, collect $60,000 from the bank. Research the ways to mitigate fire danger around your home. Is there a break on insurance for completing these tasks? You look perplexed, young Padawan. Samuel. Sell flowers from your garden. Collect 50,000 from the bank.
Damn, you've been hiding stuff from us?
He's selling rocks, not flowers. We don't grow
He
flowers here.
sold maple too. He's
Basically,
he's a farmer. Research how to grow your own food and vegetables in various types of spaces. So like on your balcony. Lydia, last but not least. Visit the veterinarian, pay 20,000 to the bank.
This is what I get when I ask to go in random order.
Came last, and there, look at what happened to you right there. All right, visit the veterinarian. Call 2 veterinarians in your area and discover their charges for an animal well visit. Okay. Everybody has an action card, right? Miss Lydia.
I just wanted to say that since there's no more fired cards, I believe I have one more career role left, so I might just be able to sell that as long as the person that I sell it to, like they pay for it and I don't have to pay anything.
Yeah, I'll sell mine as well.
Is anyone interested in purchasing a career role right now?
$1 million right here.
Wow.
Okay.
I
Doesn't
won't even
look like
get it.
anyone is jumping at that. Is anyone interested in rolling for a new house or a new career? Ryan.
I want to roll for a new house. Mine's too big.
Okay. Let me
So if I
pull
can
that
get some
out.
cheaper.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many more move cards are there?
I don't know. I haven't been keeping track of that. Okay, but you can roll for a new house every time. Ryan, you get one choice. I just rolled a 1 for you. How many do you need?
4.
The mansion is your choice for 120,000. No? Okay, next week perhaps. All right, career, house. Would anyone like to go from one spouse to, or one income to 2 incomes or vice versa?
I'll take 2 spouses.
One spouse to 2
She-
spouses.
I corrected myself because we do not do polygamy here. It's not part of La Vida Loca.
Okay, he wants to roll
I
for
mean,
housing.
it's more money for me, man.
Yeah,
Daniel
can
would
I
like to
roll for
roll
housing?
for a house.
Yeah,
What do you need for your occupancy?
7.
7. Okay, I get 3 choices for you.
Sounds
The
about right.
Spooky Shack, the windmill, or the starter home.
I'm in the windmill.
Well, then perhaps you should not move this week.
I'm moving to the wind.
Next week, perhaps, will be better for you. Rin,
Am I allowed to roll for housing or no?
yes, everybody can roll every week. You don't have to take it.
I would like to roll then.
What's your occupancy you need? 7.
7.
We just did that. You get 2 choices. I remember now that your action card forced you to move. The suburban dream or the basement. These do not meet your needs.
I will leave it till next week.
Okay. All right. Lydia.
How many rolls do I have left for housing?
Well, you can roll every single week for housing.
So there isn't a limit to those?
Nope. You can roll once a week if you wanted to.
I thought there was a limit, so I didn't roll before.
Oh, there's a limit for career choices, but not for housing.
I did not realize that.
Do you want
In
to
that
roll
case,
for
I would
housing?
like to roll.
How many
yes.
do you need? What's your occupancy?
I need 7. I would have rolled many weeks ago if I had known that.
You have 6 choices.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. You've got grandma's house, the teepee, the family house, the mansion, friend's couch, or the suburban dream. You need 7.
Yes.
So the only
So
choice is the family house. Does that work for you?
it's cheaper than the windmill. So yeah.
All right, let's move you then. So this will be reflected on week 11. So coming up this week, you're going to be the family house. Okay. Any other roles that we need to do? Okay. I believe that is class then. So I know who is going to be gone Thursday?
Me.
Tyler, Ryan, Chase.
Possibly us and probably us.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll roll for you and do everything just because. And thanks for letting me know. And Chase, have really safe travels, okay?
I will. I'll be going 30 miles an hour the way home.
Well, you know, that will give you lots of time to see the scenery.
Just don't.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.